Hey all, welcome to my channel. This is the first video in this series. This series is focused for C++ programming, but throughout this series, I will be giving you some assignments, some projects that we won't necessarily be covering in the video, but it's there to help you to be a programmer. So in this series, we will be talking about C++, the object-oriented concepts of C++, how to build a software, how to write a software in a C++, but the main learning will happen when you're doing those projects, when you're doing those assignments. Uh, there's no other way to learn a programming language. I can teach you the syntax, I can teach you how to create a function, how to do polymorphism, how to make classes, how to be object oriented, but until you apply those concepts, until you apply those skills in your field, you won't be able to become a programmer. So try doing those projects. If you're facing any doubts, feel free to leave a comment. I will make sure that I'm replying to you. And throughout the series, please refer to this site. This is a holy grail of C++. This is a great site from where you can get references to the different header files, libraries, and whatnot about C++. So if you're not sure, like what this function is doing, why the header file is right there, what kind of a header file helps me to do that, C++ reference is the way to go. And you always have Google. So if you're facing any errors, if you're not able to debug your program, if you're having a long, a gigantic error, try googling it. Try finding out where you're going wrong. It may be the case that somebody has already asked the question, and you will get the answer for that. So Stack Overflow is another great site for where you can find many people have posted similar kind of errors or similar kind of uh, bugs that they weren't able to solve, and somebody has answered that question. So those websites, try to find the answer yourself. I can give the answer to you, but it would be better that if you can find it by yourself. So enough of talking about that. Let's get back to the programming. So I will be using Atom Editor just to be in the fair side. I know many of you are using Visual Studio, or some of you may be using Xcode, or just traditional like me, just the editor and compiler using your terminal. If you're on the Ubuntu or on Mac, some of you may be using CodeLight or CodeBlocks. The code will work on every platform till you're compiling with standard C++ standard 11. So we are using 2011, not 2014, or not the newer ones, but we'll be using standard C++ 11. So I will be compiling using Z++, but it should work on every platform. The code will be more or less, it will be the same for 2014 also, but there will be some key difference. But I will be compiling using 2011, C standard 2011. So enough about that. So if you have any questions about the compilers or the editor that you're using, try leaving comments down. I will reply to you, or maybe make some videos about different compilers, different like Visual Studio and Xcode, CodeBlocks, or any other editor or any other IDE that you might be using, any other, how to set it up. If you want that, leave a comment down in the description. I will make sure that I will be making those videos. So yeah, so this is a standard C++ program. So at the first line we have include IOStream. So this line is for the header file. So whenever you see include and something, it is about calling a header file. So header files is basically a library that has been presented to you, that has been given to you, so that you can write program. So just think about it. So I have written cout, I have written main, I have written cout. So how the compiler is knowing that what cout is doing? So it is going inside the IOStream library and trying to figure out what cout will do. So after you compile the program compiles and breaks down into assembly language and finally into binary. So everything you write in a computer program is at last resulted in binary. So when you're doing this, it is actually the library is actually compiling it or referencing it that what you're doing, and telling the compiler, okay, it is he's doing this and this and that. So cout is a function that has been defined somewhere in the iostream library. Main is a function. Main is again it's again a function. Main is a function. So main is a function like any other function that we will be making throughout the series. So we'll be making many more user-defined functions, but main is not any special function. It's just a function that is made so that when you compile the program, this is the entry point of the program. So main is the function which will get executed at the first. So it doesn't has any superpower or anything. It's a normal plain function, but the C++ or the C language has been made to look into the main function first. So yeah, so at the last we say return 0. So what does return 0 means? So return 0 says that I'm returning 0, that is, I'm saying the program executed properly and exited without any errors. So if I make it -1 or any number rather than 0, it will say to the developer that program executed but exited with an error. So this is for your reference. So when you're debugging or seeing going through a debugger, you are able to identify, okay, there was some problem in the program. So for the most of part, you will be using return 0. So we have this sentence at the line number 3, which is printing out the hello world. So what I'm saying over here is this cout belongs to the standard. I'm saying this cout, this is a namespace. So namespace is the way of saying that cout, the cout function or the cout that I'm calling belongs to this namespace. This namespace is std, the standard namespace. So cout belongs to standard namespace, and then I'm saying cout hello world, and then again I'm saying standard. So NL belongs to the standard. So this seems very clumsy, right? We have std and then colon colon and then cout, then we say something, then again we have to use std. So for right now, we can say using namespace std, and then we can just say cout. So what I'm saying is I'm using namespace std, so this all things will automatically run without writing the std. This is actually frowned upon doing this kind of practice in the professional field, but since we are learning C++, we can do this. We can say using namespace std and compile the program and run it for the development purpose or for the learning purpose, but it's actually frowned upon to do that. So because you will see when we have different classes and different things, it is better to use those namespaces rather than just saying using namespace std. Okay, now let's compile this program. Okay, so after you have compiled the program, if you're using the same method that I use, if you're using IDE, you can just hit the play button or the run button or the build button, whatever IDE you're using, and then it will give you output. So if you are using this kind of interface, then a.out will be a program that's get created after you have compiled. So hello world. So did you notice that hello world, after the hello world we have a new line? So this line gets created at a new line. So this is because of AND-L. So AND-L is we can say it's kind of a type dev or a macro, because if you do this /n, it will give you the same result. So if you compile this program again and if you run it, it will give you the same result. So /n. So if you see AND-L or /n, these are the same thing. Somewhere in the program, somewhere in the C++, they have defined that /n is AND-L. So that they have defined AND-L is /n. So you don't get confused if you see AND-L or /n being used You can just save it, file it again. Hello world. Okay, so now we have learned that how to make a hello world program. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and try to experiment. So how can I create a program which, if I run on Windows, it should say hello, the username of that person, of that user. Or if I'm using a Mac or Ubuntu, how can I make a program that will say hello, the username? How can I do that? I mean, it shouldn't be hard coded. It should dynamically get the username of that person and say hello, that user. Try making that program. Have fun with programming. If you're facing any doubts, if you're facing any difficulties, try googling, try saying, try finding out a solution for that, and I think you will be able to find it. So for now, this is it. I will be seeing you in the next video.